everybody. This is WCPO's Mike Dyer. We have a special bonus episode of your WCPO High School Insider podcast with the upcoming national championship game on Monday night, January 13th with LSU and Clemson. Now, pleased to be joined by Fairfield head football coach Jason Krause. The national championship game obviously is Monday night, 14-0 Clemson against 14-0 LSU. There at the New Orleans Superdome, and Coach Krause is kind enough to take a few minutes to talk to me about Clemson sophomore left tackle Jackson Carman, obviously the former Fairfield standout, trying to go for his second straight national championship. Hard to believe. Just an incredible opportunity for Jackson and everybody there in the Fairfield football program. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes, first of all.
Absolutely, Mike. Thanks for having us on, and I would love to talk about our guys anytime.
Well, obviously, you're going down this weekend to New Orleans, and, tell me about how much you're looking forward to seeing Jackson play in person.
Looking forward to it big time. I haven't had an opportunity to see him play yet this year, with our guys playing and my son playing on Saturdays, and just trying to coordinate all that during the year was really difficult to do, and had some tickets to the playoff game 2 weeks ago, I guess. Just couldn't get out to Phoenix during Christmas time. So really fortunate that they won that game and get an opportunity to go down now and see Jackson and Clemson play in New Orleans.
I know he's visited school, over break and stuff like that, but how much have you guys stayed in contact and maybe texted each other throughout this past season?
I've become a legitimate FaceTimer now because of Jackson. He's a guy, he likes to FaceTime. I'm old-fashioned. I like to just get on the phone, but I've become that video FaceTime guy now because of Jack, and we do that quite a bit. Probably try to get a hold of each other once a week, and it's been great to stay in touch with him, and it's been awesome to see him grow and have an opportunity for a second national championship. It's hard to believe.
He obviously made the trip to the White House and was able to, obviously take part in that celebration with the national championship team from a year ago. Just talk about this journey. I mean, you're talking about second straight opportunity at a national title. I mean, how unreal is that when you say that at the end of the day?
Well, it's really it's surreal to think about the opportunity that he's been given, but it really puts in perspective to me that he made a very good choice when he chose Clemson. One of the things he talked about making that college decision was the chance to play for a national championship. Obviously, he's made the right choice because he's already won one and is now playing for a second one.
You talk about it, just the growth that you've seen in him, and just from 2 years ago. I mean, what can you give us an example of maybe just the conversations about, not only football, but maybe off the field and the maturity that you've seen in Jackson and his growth?
I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing for him is just the way he's grown off the field. He was a guy that really now takes full advantage of the things that he's being given at Clemson, and, along with his classes and his grades. He's an A student down there now. I know talking to their offensive line coach before the season, Jackson came into their preseason meeting and asked to be coached harder. He wanted expectations to be higher on him as a player. So I think that just shows a lot of growth and maturity for him being a sophomore, a true sophomore, probably one of the best programs in the country.
Robbie Caldwell, their offensive line coach, obviously recruited Matt Bockhorst out of St. Xavier, and these two, Jackson and Matt, have become good friends from what I understand. Can you talk about their rapport a little bit, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it was really important for Jackson going down there to have another Ohio guy and a guy, especially from Southwest Ohio, that kind of understood, the football that's played here and respected the football that's played here in Southwest Ohio. And on top of that, I think it really went a long way for the guys down south to see that, hey, there's some good football being played up in Ohio. We've got two of them right here on the line. So I think the relationship that they've started really helped Jack get his feet wet down there and kind of paved the path for him as a student on campus and what to expect as a college kid.
So one of my favorite stories that you told when Jackson announced his commitment to Clemson was how he played did he play the guitar there in Dabo's office, I think, during a visit or something? Tell us a little bit about that again.
Went down for spring practice, took Jack down and spent a few days down there at the facility and practice. And Coach Sweeney and I were literally on the balcony of his office. I don't know how many offices have a balcony, but his did. And we're just overlooking the practice fields. And all of a sudden we just hear music coming from inside of his office. And I think it was from the Music City Bowl that Clemson had played in at some point. Was the guitar was in Coach Sweeney's office, and Jackson was down, seated on the couch, and just riffing away on the guitar. And Coach Sweeney didn't realize Jack had that kind of talent. So just another thing that Jack made of, his ability to play music and cooking and all those interest things he has off the field.
I don't know how much you analyzed his film or anything, even in the Ohio State game, obviously, what he did and his task of blocking Chase Young. But how do you think he's just grown just on the field in terms of his footwork, his strength, everything else? We've seen some of the clips on Twitter of him knocking guys over and blocking guys throughout the season. But how impressive has he been?
Well, he's always kind of been that guy, more physical and athletic than guys. But I think where he's grown the most is his study of the game. I think he's really done a great job of becoming a film watcher, of just studying other guys play. And he was always kind of a guy that when he watched football on Saturdays or Sundays, he was watching the left tackle and watching technique. And he's really become a technician. And I think he realized when he showed up at Clemson and was blocking the best defensive lineman in the country as a freshman, you couldn't just get away with strength and brute force and just being stronger than people, because he wasn't. He really had to learn some techniques, and I think that's where he's grown most as a player.
And I guess just lastly, how has his success really impacted guys in your program, especially younger guys? I mean, now you have Jaton McClain, who's enrolling early at the University of Kentucky, obviously a different position playing running back, but you have guys, Malik Vann at UC, a teammate of Jackson's. You have a lot of guys playing in college programs now, but just maybe for the current guys and maybe some of the younger guys coming up within your program, how do you use Jackson as an example to show them, hey, if you work hard, this is where you could be?
Well, I think it really starts with the idea of our kids being able to watch our guys on television. We got young middle school kids and freshman kids that now they get to watch Fairfield football players on national TV. This whole thing kind of started back with Josiah Scott going to Michigan State. He just announced last week that he's declaring for the draft. And that all is a big hubbub, I guess creates a buzz, I guess what I want to say, within our program and our kids. And just to watch these guys perform at that level, I think now our kids aspire to want to play college football at that level. And it's not easy. Obviously it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of kids, and it's hard to get to that Division I level. You see Mark Porter, he's really good at kind of expressing those percentages and chances of that happening. But, if our kids are aspiring to get to that level, they're probably going to work really hard in the off season and do the things they need to do to get to that level.
Coach, thanks for joining me and taking a few minutes, and hey, enjoy the game in New Orleans.
Mike, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Fairfield head coach Jason Krause talking about Clemson left tackle Jackson Carman, in 2018 Fairfield High School graduate, and his growth. Just an incredible opportunity for Jackson at his second straight national championship on Monday night. You also want to catch my WCPO High School Insider podcast featuring basketball discussion this week. St. Xavier coach Michael Noska and Hughes coach Brian Wyatt join me for talk about the hardwood and how everything stands as we head into the second week in January. And you can catch that basketball episode on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you find your podcast. Thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you soon.